We're gonna go live on Facebook in 3, 2, and we are live. Welcome to this second part of yours truly, Coffee with Dragon, a special choo railroad edition on this morning of 10:30, exactly 10:30 a.m. The stock market has been opened since 9:30. So please, if you do make a million profit on the stock market today or made a million on the stock market yesterday, please, or will make tomorrow in the future a million profit. If I get a million, first thing I'm gonna do is pay out my $10,000 debt to the RBC, give back the government of Quebec $2,200 that they're asking me back for, since I've offered a few million hugs instead of that money. But I'm waiting for a response. Negotiations ongoing, work in progress, and I'm gonna finance first and foremost, make a donation, finance rather, or commission work for my anonymous sister's art, commission work for my anonymous sister's art, commission work for my anonymous sister's art, and thereafter for the dancing goddess in the Dragon Kingdom's world peace work. Yours truly, it is 10:31 now a.m. in the morning. I am grateful, thankful that my rent is paid in full, that my electricity bill is paid in full. Please increase in hygiene in public. Wash your hands with soap and water when you step outside in the public as much as you can, and especially when you go in and out of a public building which is not your private quarters, such as a bank, a grocery store, a school, a mall, whatever the domain is, that it's a public or a private domain of some that is not your private domain. As I'm here in my private room, office, and temple, I am in my private room, office, and temple. Of course, I choose to make this philosophical meditation and artistic video, and thankfulness and being grateful to the railway workers of the past, present, and future. Maybe see this video in the future, or XYZ, of course, thanks to whom we have this great collective North American civilization. And North America is a civilization, a collective civilization, and that is one of my geopolitical theories, proponing, of course, that North Americans and North America, we actually constitute an emerging collective civilization with different characteristics and unique infrastructure developments, such as, of course, the railroads, the railways, the railroads, aka railways. And of course, since it's in the news in the past days and weeks that there's a potential looming strike, the biggest strike in more than 30 years in the USA, and yours truly, that have been known, understood that I was born in the USA twice in past lives. As a matter of fact, 156 years ago, 718 miles served in the US Army. 156 years ago in a past life, and for the first time when I saw a locomotive was in a past life in the USA, down roundabout somewhere in the south, or close to the Midwest, or even close to the, so I roamed about the Midwest and the South and the deep South, and went west for a few years. I remember seeing the locomotive. What in the son of the devil is this? What in the son of the devil is kind of devil is this? What kind of devil is this? What kind of devil is this? When I saw the locomotive, it was something, an experience to see for the first time a locomotive. Of course, ask questions. And how much do we really know? We know a little bit, maybe more superficial. Some of us know more than others, some of us know more than others. And yours truly, as an independent philosopher, independent artist, independent athlete, and of course the people's athlete, independent fitness captain, and geopolitical analyst and theorist, and independent psychological theorist and analyst, and independent sexual analyst and theorist, and sometimes merging together psychosexual analyst and theorist. And all I did as the people's doctor of my academic scholarly work throughout the years, and have read tens of thousands of books, and I've also typed or written even by hand, hundreds of pages and tens of thousands of pages of philosophy, analysis, and poetry, some in different USB keys, some of them lost, some of them clean again my room to find them somewhere, and a lot of them in the mind, in the psyche, in the mind, in my processors, in my microchips inside my brain. So of course, my trinity of theories is, of course, my proposition and my call, of course, to be implemented. And those trinity of theories have been written over many years. In the past 7, 8, 9, 10 years, as I spent one foot in the libraries, one foot in the streets, and made the libraries of Hawk Island my second home, and the many tens of thousands of books my friends. And I've read tens of thousands of books on philosophy, theory, art, and poetry. And of course, I'm a universal revolutionary centrist, but of course I'm a pro-labor universal revolutionary centrist. I do not just say centrist because I say universal, because I am a world peace advocate, and I have been a world peace advocate, as much as I do take into consideration that sometimes you have certain struggles and that we have aggression, and the importance to channel and sublimate the aggression is my philosophical, psychological theorizing and philosophical and even spiritual principles is of channeling and sublimating, because repressing might make us sick, repressing might make us disease, might make us ill and get depressed. And well, I've been depressed, I've conquered depression, and it's been a hard battle with depression. I've survived, and depression, I was suicidal, and working out, training, exercising, investing in the body has been a great initiative and something that's ongoing for me, and I do recommend it and have been and will continue to advocate for the mass financing of people to work out, to train, and to exercise, which has been, is, and will continue to be my medicine and therapy of choice, as I believe it can be for many. Working out, training, exercising, created even my own workout, of which I've performed with different integrations of gridiron, North American football drills, and other special double troubles. I've created the perfect workout training program which requires no equipment, and that is designed and was designed and is created and does increase general overall fitness. It increases general overall fitness. It increases general overall fitness. My workout training program, that is, that I've created, and of course of which I've created and done and performed live on Facebook more than 291 sessions so far. Probably later today, most likely, is going to be the 290 second session, because I'm getting closer to 300, as I want to complete 300 as soon as possible, which was the initial goal, and would probably plateau apex of potential development with that workout, and afterwards will be just maintenance. But I'm speculating that even 350 and even 400 and maybe even after 400 would still develop general overall fitness. It develops, increases general overall fitness. My workout is simply effective and efficient. And of course, I am advocating for the mass financing and have been and will advocate for the mass financing via public-private partnership. And of course, my dream and my call to all to support the initiative called the Dragan Army, to be an international citizen integrated social security and service force, to be based on my theories, my citizen integration theory, debt refusion theory, and democratic fusion theory, that trinity of theories, of course, with a fourth dimension to that trinity, love, and love is action, and the body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose. And please, 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 if you make a million on the stock market today, you made already. It's got 93 minutes in since the 9:30 a.m. morning clock in EST. Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street. Buy, sell, trade stocks, futures, commodities, price go up, stocks, switch stocks, penny stocks, $5 stocks, the big ones, big corporation stocks, buy, trade, sell. Please, if you make a million profit or have made a million profit yesterday or will make a million profit tomorrow, please donate 10%. First and foremost for food security, because everybody gotta eat, everybody gotta eat. And of course for LGBTQ youth services, women's sports leagues, and the environmental causes. Those are main concerns of mine. Of course, food security first, because of course I'd had to resort, of course, to food banks in the past years and have struggled economically, financially, commercially, of course, and with other struggles as well. Right now, I admit I'm broke. I'm $10,000 in debt to the RBC. Government of Quebec is maybe asking me, maybe not. Gonna see if my letter explaining the situation helped resolve the situation. Asking me otherwise for $2,200 back, and RBC $10,000. But I pay my rent for September. I fulfill my obligation, duty, and responsibility to fully pay my rent. It is already close to mid-September, September 14th. It is 10:38 a.m. in the morning. I encourage you all, please, 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 hygiene in public, because when we step outside, we have a added dimension of responsibilities, duties, and obligation in the public, and hygiene is one of them, which we should encourage, and of course ensure and encourage each other to do more when we are in the public. I am triple vaccinated. Survival of COVID as well. Had COVID 3 times. The first time was right at the beginning, before it was known in as a pandemic, between end of January and until about February, mid-February 2020. It was very sickle and disease, and then in 2021 and a few weeks ago I've tested positive and quarantined for 11 days. So it's 10:39 a.m. I'm going to dedicate this cup of coffee. We're going to philosophize, rant a little bit. I'm going to do a little bit of rock and roll, artistic, on the railroads and the railways. And of course it's in the news that they might go on a strike, as the people's athlete Who's broke but whose workouts are gold? Who's broke but whose workouts are gold? Who's broke but whose workouts are gold? I'm calling on the multi-millionaire athletes. I'm challenging them to try to do my workout. Push up for push up, squat for squat, hawk for hawk. Y'all got multi-millionaire contracts. Multi-millionaires got 7 houses, 7 cars. You're supposed to do an independent fitness captain's workout. Step for step, push up for push up, stamina for stamina, endurance for endurance, athleticism for athleticism, brain for brain, step for step, muscle for muscle. No? Yeah, multi-millionaires. I know. I'm money, man. Yeah, I know. Money, money, money. But what is money? Money is a means of exchange and of trade. That's why I believe at this point in time, at least for the collective North American civilization, my theory of debt refusion theory, in order to be implemented and implemented, my debt refusion theory, is best at this moment in time where we are now, September 14, with inflation close to inflation and prices rising, and of course wages have stagnated. Wages of the railroads, while profits of the corporations have gone up since 1984 tremendously. Since 1984 tremendously. I'm pinpointing 1984 due to the re-election of Ronald Reagan, not to blame on one person because I don't like that generalization, so I don't like that, but nonetheless the re-election of Ronald Reagan 1984 took a big part, and we had this arisal in the North American collective civilization in North America, Western world, and the world of a global corporatized financial technocratic order, a globalized corporate technocratic financialized order. Since that period began more and more to arise, a globalized corporate technocratic financialized order. And I believe my trinity of theories, and adding the fourth dimension to that trinity of love, and love is action, will balance. One will bring some balance, some harmony, some and work towards equilibrium, balance, and harmony between nature and civilization, between nature and civilization, between nature and civilization. And I'm not perfect. I got issues, I got vices, I get upset, I get moody. Working out, training, exercising is my medicine and therapy of choice. I do not play it self-righteous. In my universal spiritual teachings and philosophizing, I do admit that I have cravings, that I have, of course, I do want to afford more bacon, to get good chocolate bars, good cake, and a good whiskey, cognac, or rum. Sometimes, once in a while. I'm not a big drinker. I'm not a big drinker. Not a big drinker. Coffee, and love to try exotic drinks, all sorts of drinks that are on the market. So many that are I haven't drank, and thanks to the railway freight railroads, the freight trains, of course, they transport all this across North America. There's a big transportation across North America. There's a big tons of goods and services are of course transported across the collective North American civilization right now. Thousands of tens of tons of different goods. Potatoes, rutabagas, onions, and of course some of it could be coffee. Some of it could have been even the coffee that I'm having, maybe it was on a freight train and on a truck as well. So being mindful and doing this meditation of the importance of railroad systems in across the collective North American civilization. And I'm going to say thank you, grateful. I'm grateful, thankful that my rent is paid in full. My electricity is also paid in full, so double trouble. I've paid both my bills, my electricity bill, and doing a little meditation as I do so often. That thank you, love you, kiss you. I offer kisses to my allies and armies, and pickles with that, a little bit of rap, working out, training, exercising, philosophizing, some brain and some muscle. And some people might say, nah, I'm not gonna take that, but that's what I offer. I offer some brain and some muscle, kisses, because kisses got by the plenty, some hugs, some massages, some kisses, some rubs, some philosophy, some art, and some comedy, some humor, because to ensure freedom and secure freedom, freedom is a double-edged sword as it is, and I admit with my tiny hands it's too heavy to lift by my solo, since I got a tiny trinity, tiny hands, tiny feet, and a little other thing, little tiny. Now that we got that out of the way, we can perhaps ask more to do more. We can do more for those, especially who have been economically, financially, commercially blessed, multi-millionaires and multi-billionaires. Please finance also the nurses. Give them a check to the spa, to the massage therapy. I'm assuming they're worn out. They can use a good massage therapy session, and my brothers and sisters service, and It's time to admit a lot of things that we're dealing with, and the only thing I really would be to improve my is I have been healing a lot, coming out of depression by working out, training, exercising on a fitness journey. I cannot stress the importance of regular physical activity enough, and I do stress it every day and have been for COVID, of course. And I'm working out, training, exercising, and I believe it can be for many. Sometimes we need encouragement. And please, if you see the children do a push-up, encourage, applaud, encourage them, cheer them on to do another one. Please, if you see the children do a squat, applaud, cheer them on, encourage them to do another one. Please, if you see the children do a push-up, a squat, or a pirouette, applaud, cheer them on, and encourage them to do another one. If you see the children do an exercise, applaud, cheer them on, and encourage them to do another one. You need encouragement, support, and LOV, and sometimes love is action. And constructive criticism, because my policy for social media, I take pride in that. Neither myself or my official volunteer representative who always consults with me and responds in my name often and most of the time. Ritziel Yelwork, love you, Ritziel Yelwork, love you, Ritziel Yelwork, pops, papa, granddaddy, father, Ritziel Yelwork. And if I do respond and I don't block, I would take pride I haven't blocked anybody yet, but that doesn't mean that I'm not going to start just as I started a fitness journey, and new habits and new practices which replaced old ones, which have for me outlived their life, outlived their purpose, whether to suffer, the sufferings that I've been through, the struggles, whether psychological or physical or whatever struggles have been with, and thousands and millions across Canada, US, and Mexico, and the collective North American civilization, and Canada, US are going through depression, suicide, and sometimes it's good to admit what we're dealing with, lusts or hidden fears, like the hidden fear that I've made a little bit of comedic joke, which can be actualized and in truth can be so. That's 6'6" NFL multi-millionaire player responds to my call, says, Dragan, you need some pro bono, you need some good massage, right? I learned massage therapy 13 years in the NFL. I got massage therapy. Everything was paid for me. I'm a millionaire. I lack for nothing. I'm going to come because he's 6'6", 360 pounds, survived 13 years in the NFL. He's giving me a massage. We're live streaming. I'm rating his game. Go, reading the NFL CFL playbook. Yeah, like that. Go drive it in. Get a pass. Get a block. I want to get a blocked up. Outside. Go south, east, west, south. And he's going. Southeast. And he's massaging me like, oh, yeah, this is what I needed. It's been fucking 7 years. What the fuck out of my face if you ain't got nothing good to say. Nothing good to offer. Blah, blah. Yeah, and then she starts screaming. Ah! He starts running. So what are you doing? And they give it a name, let's say, I don't know, Christian or something. Christian Smith, whatever. A name, Robert or Robert, whatever the name of the player, XYZ. Say Tom Nassib. There we go. A new name, blending of Tom Brady and Colin Nassib, because I'm supporting the Bucks that do Colin Nassib. So Tom and Tom Nassib, let's make up the name player. Two players conjoined. Starts running. Goes to the door. Starts. What are you screaming for? What's the matter? You got a spider in your room. I'm afraid of spiders. You're afraid of spiders. You're 6'6", 360. You survived 13 years and 3 concussions by your head in the NFL. You see a little tiny spider in my room off some temple, you start running. How irrational is that? Because we have an irrational subconscious dimensions and components, our hidden fears, hidden lusts, right? Myself, I've been flying my rainbow flag and will continue to fly it, and have been flown it, and I'm in the open for many years, being LGBTQ. I've been in the open for many years, and some don't like my rainbow dragon ass, some don't like my rainbow dragon ass, some don't like my rainbow dragon ass. It's okay, we disagree, and I fight my own battles. I mean, first I want to box Donald Trump. I've been challenging Donald Trump for years now. First I want to challenge Donald Trump to a boxing match on the U.S.-Canadian border due to those tariffs. And as somebody who was an American twice in past life, then served in the U.S. Army 156 years ago, 718 miles south of Hawkeye, Montreal, yes. I fight my own battles. If I want a freestyle battle rap, because I rap for the railways and the railroad workers and the farmers. I rap for the farmers, clap, because everybody got to eat. Transport for the truckers, because they got to transport what we can cook them up in order to get to the table. Yeah, for the farmers and the butchers, they got to cut the meat. For the bakers, for that bake that bread, because I can't eat paper. So I rap for the workers as well. For workers, I rap. I was to start deliciously discussing diatribe of rapping. Underground rapper, blah blah, commission, blah blah, XYZ. But love is also action. So action has been required in my own healing. And before I go, because I digress, Dragan digressions, I find my own battles. If anybody one-on-one wants to put gloves on with me, you can go anywhere, any place. If I've offended XYZ reason, don't need to slander me online, or I got issues. I watch a little porn, a little adult movies, but only during the Sabbath, which begins Friday for me and ends Sunday. During the weekend, let's say during the weekend, some adult movies, some porn. No need RCMP to spy on me. I'm inviting RCMP, Popo across collective North American civilization to come work out, adopt my workout training program. How come we'll do some push-ups together with the youth, with the activities for some joy and some purpose. I'm open for business, public-private partnership. You don't need to spy on me, RCMP, CSIS, Canadian Secret Intelligence Service, Security Intelligence Service, RCMP, Royal Canadian Mountain Police, or NSA, CIA, FBI. Stasi. Well, the Stasis are gone after November 1989. FSB, former KGB, FSB, former KGB, FSB. MI6. I was a Brit, part of the British Empire in a past life. Greatest poet for me, still a Briton, who ever lived. Aleister Crowley. And Mossad. Yeah. But I could choose now to turn everything off and get naked and start dancing naked on Tekashi 69 music, Madonna music, and Kanye West music. I'm doing this video for the railway workers with my athletic, philosophic, artistic, and even part mystic spirituality and philosophy and art. Nobody watching should get millions of views, but should get millions of views at least to hear that. Please, the millions of views, just to hear this, that please increase in hygiene in public. Wash your hands with soap and water and hand sanitize and disinfect when you step outside of your private domain. Because when we step outside, right now I'm in private. I share with the public and the public sphere, the internet. On social media, I give everybody warnings, second chances. Everybody deserves second, third chances, warnings. My policies, as much as I go intellectual, sophisticated, cosmopolitan, in-depth analysis of nature, civilization, systems, financial systems. Sometimes I'm straightforward and direct, and I blame it on being an Israeli also in the past life, of being an Israeli in the past life as well, to being an Israeli in a past life, which of course Israelis in the majority, there's exceptions to the rules, but the culture generally is more straightforward and direct. So straightforward and direct. Sometimes I admit I am mediocre at some things. I admit I am average at other things. I admit I am so-so at other things. While being so-so and average and mediocre at other things, I'm great, super excellent at my workouts, my geopolitical analysis and theories, my philosophies, and my trinity of theories are golden, diamonds, and rubies. And my citizen integration theory, death row fusion theory, and democratic fusion theory. Right? And I find my own battles. Like I said, if I have offended whatever XYZ reason, we could freestyle battle rap or rock. We could freestyle battle, meaning I go a minute, some lyrics, bust a freestyle rap, you go then a minute, and people decide in a court of whatever, in an assembly, whatever circle, or dance. Ain't nobody gonna beat me a dance. Ain't nobody gonna beat me a dance. Ain't nobody gonna beat me a dance. The world's greatest living dancer, millennium with choreography. When I hear music, I see choreography, and I'm the founder, of course, as well as of the Dancing Goddess Army, which is complementary, covenant in a cooperative way to the Dragan Army, which I'm calling for both to be established, integrated with all existing public and private institutions and organizations by the implementation of my trinity of theories: citizen integration theory, debt fusion theory, and democratic fusion theory. My trinity, holy, sacred, and divine trinity, that I'm calling the implementation thereof, at least across the collective North American civilization, Canada, US, binational first and foremost, and thereafter international, Pan-American, North American as the NHL and National Hockey League and the Of course, NBA are not national. They're National Hockey League, National Basketball Association, but in fact, they're binational, right? Because we have teams in Canada, NHL, especially. So it's binational in reality, right? It's binational. So the Dragon Army to be integrate well security and establishments and to apply my theory, citizen integration theory, which of course is to basically see how things are done in civilization and nature, how things are done in farming, how recycling is done, how compost is done, how 63 dams, thank you past, present and future workers of Hydro-Quebec, who with brains and muscle, because maintaining, building and maintaining and upgrading civilization requires some brain and some muscle. Some brain, I got some progress, some brain and some muscle to build, maintain, and upgrade civilization. We see how during crises, how fragile things can be, how everything, some things get thrown out the window, some things get thrown out the window, some things get thrown out the window, and we're back to some fundamentals, some basics, which still operate with all the sophistication that we have. Some things still operate on fundamentals. So civilization, and to attain harmony between civilization and nature, will still require some brains and some muscle, and some brains. As these 63 dams that were built about brains and muscle. 63 of them not only give to Quebecers, just like myself, and je suis un Québécois de la belle province, moi là. I'm a Quebecer from the Belle Province as well, a North American, a world citizen who acts local things global. I have world peace as a world peace advocate aspirations, and I believe humanity can break impasses. But we see now that in the past years we have gone through further impasses, and there's more problems. And my geopolitical analysis, with all the faults that I do admit to have, and have lusts, have cravings, have I'm not perfect, have vices and issues, and get moody, X Y Z. And I do admit it. I do admit. I don't play the self-righteous even in my philosophical, spiritual. I do get lustful. I do enjoy the physical aspects of life. I love. You can offer me kisses. I'm never gonna say no to kisses, hugs. But hygiene is important. I'm gonna ask: Are you vaccinated? Are you vaccinated? Are you vaccinated? Did you wash your hands today? Did you wash your hands with soap and water today? Might ask you that. Might ask you that. So kisses, hugs, massages, tickles, good bacon, good coffee, good wine, good grapes is my favorite food. Grapes is my favorite food. Grapes is my favorite food. I wanna have a new suit. I've been buying secondhand for a long time. I want to have a customized red suit with a dragon and a rainbow dragon on it. A red suit with a rainbow dragon on it, or vice versa. A rainbow suit with a red dragon on it. Vice versa. Be some green in it, or green and red for the dancing goddess. And as a priestess of the dancing goddess, I want to have a nice with a rainbow and children dancing 12 to represent the constellation, the sun and the moon, and a green dress for my dancing. And if I could afford it, somebody custom made, I would love to have that. I would love to have that. I would love to have that, or to have a nice red suit, new shiny like leather like type. Anyways, secondhand bought. I'm auctioning this, of course, online. Auctioning this. Actually, this is a band, an Israeli rock band. This is an Israeli rock band. This is an Israeli rock band. Bought it secondhand. These jeans were gifted from my sister, so I'm auctioning a cup of coffee, the mug, hair locks, blah blah blah. If you want to support in that way, please feel free. It is 10:58 a.m. 10:58 a.m. Yours truly, independent athlete, independent activist, independent artist. Grateful, thankful that my rent is paid in full, that my electricity bill is paid in full. Double trouble, duo, double bills paid in full. So I fulfilled my obligation, duty, and responsibility to pay my rent in full and to pay my electricity bill in full. Right? Obligation, and feel my best responsibility and obligation when I step outside. To wash my hands with soap and water when I go in a public domain, a bus stop or whatever, a bank, a grocery store, a mall, a school. That is not my public domain. Right? Continue. Even if we conquer, have victorious over COVID, hygiene, public hygiene is an important value for me. Public hygiene is an important value for me. Yeah, I get dirty. I'm not super clean. I get dirty. I get dirty. I get dirty. I can make a dirty joke, a few, maybe too much, too many, maybe. For some, others will say, "Give me more, give me more, give me more." XYZ. Show love or move along is my social media policy. Show love or move along is my social media policy. So show love or move along is my social media policy. Show love or move along, man. or constructive criticism, or ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, or constructive criticism. What do you offer? What do you offer instead? What do you offer instead? Sometimes action is required. Because I've been disillusioned with organizations' proposals, and not enough is being done, and few things are getting done, fewer than I would like to do, and take charge, especially during COVID. I just did workout, train, have hundreds of hundreds of workout videos online, of which I'm very proud. Sure, you see me sometimes in my YouTube taking a bath there with philosophical rants and some artistic at. Some might say this is cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo a little bit. Well, a little bit of art gotta be a little bit. Like some would define rap music or rock music as being totally insane, totally mad. I can write a song about being mad and insane, but it doesn't mean that somebody who's XYZ is better or has more morality or ethics. We gotta give everybody second chances, third chances, even more chances, and benefit of the doubt, benefit of the doubt, benefit of the doubt to explain or XYZ and ask questions and give everybody second chances. Because we assume much, right? We assume much, we assume much. We assume much. I gotta ask a little bit of questions and give everybody a warning. Stop that. Please don't do it again. Stop that. Don't do it again. Or buzz off or fuck off or my favorites. Please stop barking or bark somewhere else. Bark somewhere else. Bark somewhere else. Now, if you want me to put you on a leash and bark, be my doggy. I'm allergic to some types of dogs. I'm allergic to some types of dogs. I'm allergic to some types of dogs, but might give you fun. We might do some business. Dragan can put you on a leash, can walk you around if you want. You know, for world peace, I can walk you around a little bit. In a leash for world peace, I can walk you around a little bit. No problem. I can be playful. I love to play. I love to love, especially to be creative and artistic. No problem. We can do business. Blah blah. Railroads. First and foremost, brothers and sisters, make love tonight. First and foremost, brothers and sisters, make love tonight. First and foremost, brothers and sisters, make love tonight. Otherwise, what are we fighting for? Knocking on the doors of the Third World War, knocking on the doors of the Third World War, knocking on the doors of the Third World War. What are we fighting for? To save this civilization if somebody's not making love tonight. I'm gonna kiss, hug, and do that choo-choo train, do that choo-choo train, do that choo-choo train. What are we fighting for? Multi-millionaire athletes. They also gotta eat. Thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers, butchers, bakers, truckers, railroad. There's so much food and goods and grain that's being transported across the collective North American civilization, across North America in freight trains, transport grains. And part of that food has those cereals, those burgers, that wheat. Mindful. From the black fertile earth to our tables. Because all the fruits, vegetables, and legumes are made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother the sun, that our brothers and sisters farmers harvest for us to make, upgrade, or maintain civilization. Right? Our brothers and sisters harvest the fruits, the goddess who dances with her brother the sun for us to make, upgrade, or maintain civilization. All the fruits, all the vegetables, and all the legumes are made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother sun. All the fruits, all the vegetables, all the legumes, and all the grain initially is made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess. Don't have to say goddess. You can be secular. I'm non-dogmatic, non-sectarian. Perhaps sometimes I get along better with atheists to work hard, train, exercise, and for XYZ reason. Could be non-sectarian to do more business or XYZ. I'm non-dogmatic. You say I don't believe in God or the goddess. I believe in Mother Nature. I say, well, Mother Nature is the goddess for me. The trees are the hairs on the goddess's body. The hairs on the goddess's body for me are the trees. The sun, her brother, whom she dances with to create, make, and produce all the fruits, vegetables, and legumes. The sun now rises and now sets, and now the sun is covering Canada coast to coast. That way is the East Coast, that way is the Atlantic, and that way is the Pacific. That way is the Pacific, that way is the Atlantic, and coast to coast USA, and all the way to Mexico, and Mexico and Guatemala, And down after Guatemala, we have Salvador, and we have Panama, and we have Costa Rica, and we have Colombia, and we have Venezuela, and we have Argentina, and we have Uruguay, and we have Chile, and we have Paraguay, and we have Brazil. So North, Central, and South America and the islands, Cuba, Haiti, the Dominican Republic is now light and life and light of the sun is being shed on it. And as a matter of fact, even on Europe, Africa, and the Middle East, and even Israel, what is it, 11:05 a.m.? Let's say what's the time in Cairo? It's probably 5:05 p.m. So they still got more than 2 hours. Cairo, Egypt, that's the whole Africa, and Israel, the Middle East, and Europe, right? Europe, 5:05 p.m. It's Cairo, 5:05. So they also still got sun for a few more hours. So the sun covers now Africa, the Middle East, Egypt, Israel, Europe, Africa, and all of the Americas, shedding so much light and life and light and heat. And with that light and life and light and heat, it produces with the black fertile earth, within the nutrients and the minerals that are within the black fertile earth, makes all the fruits, all the vegetables, all the legumes grow like this rutabaga. Where's my rutabaga? I'm gonna take onions instead because I can't find the rutabaga. So these onions, see? 3 onions. Thank you, farmers who harvested the fruits. And that's the motto of the dancing goddess on. See this onion? This onion was initially from the black fertile earth, made, created, and produced by the dance of the goddess with her brother the sun. By the dance. The goddess with her brother the sun. And that's the emblem in the back, see? Goddess who dances with her brother the sun to make, create, and produce all fruits, vegetables, and legumes that our brothers and sisters, farmers, harvest for us to build, maintain, or upgrade civilization, even for me as an independent athlete, to work out, to train, to exercise, to do art, because everybody gotta eat. Those Wall Street, you also gotta eat. You gotta eat. Multi-millionaires gotta eat. Multi-billionaires gotta eat. Food is holy, sacred, and divine. It's 3 onions. Thank you, farmers. I'm grateful for it. And the dance of the goddess with her brother sun created, made, and produced that initially from the black fertile earth with all the nutrients and the scientific processes, photosynthesis from the heat and the nutrients and the vitamins such as vitamin C, in order just to make, create, and produce this onion. And my sister got me an orange yesterday. Thank you, sister. Be blessed 77-fold. This orange was also not only the onions, but all the fruits, all the legumes, all the vegetables are made, created, and produced, and all the grain by the dance of the goddess with her brother sun. Initially, that is the motto, philosophic, social, even spiritual motto of the dancing goddess army, which I'm founding. I founded with 718 trillion kisses. And this orange also is made, created, and produced by that same dance. Kiss the hands of the farmers who harvested these fruits. By me, I'm going to get this vitamin. I'm going to heal even more. To be able to do more. Just that. Money is that. Money, what is money? It's a means of exchange, means of trade. Goods and services. Projects. Art. Fundamentally. That's why I believe my trinity of theories at this point in time is best. Citizen integration theory, debt refusion theory, and democratic fusion theory. Debt refusion theory basically states, I'm calling for its implementation, so it's not a statement, but it's what it is. But it's also can be a statement, so it's a statement in a way. So debt refusion theory that I'm calling the implementation of is that taking all private and public debt. So if my private debt is 10,000, and if X represents the private debt, and I'm X1 and you're X2, and there's hundreds of thousands, millions, hundreds of millions across Canada, US, European Union, Israel, and beyond. Because I want it first and foremost for the collective North American civilization, but beyond. Right? NATO, 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 plus Israel, my project. Genesis 34 and beyond. And of course, to implement it, to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions, of which the motto of the Dragan army is nobody's born a dragon. You become one. I'm not born a dragon because of a surname. It took blood, sweat, and tears, and tens of thousands of push-ups, tens of thousands of squats, tens of thousands of hawks to turn that A into an O. And I'm close to that 300 sessions, close to that 300 sessions, close to that 300 sessions. So it's coming close to that 300 sessions of my workout. I could do doubles maybe, a day do double and finish it earlier, before schedule maybe. Well, I didn't set a timeline specifically, but I said I'm gonna do 300 of that same workout and see how much I increase my fitness. That's the motto of the Dragon Army, which I'm calling the implementation, the creation thereof. The dancing goddess army's motto is all fruits, vegetables, and legumes are made, created, and produced by the dance. But the goddess with her brother son, but our brothers and sisters, farmers, harvest for us to make, upgrade, or even maintain civilization, because everybody gotta eat. So that is the motto. Because initially all fruits, vegetables are made that way. Even the black coffee bean, which comes from a red berry, the black coffee bean comes initially in a red berry. The black coffee bean initially comes in a red berry. So also the black coffee bean, the red berry that contains it, was created, made, and produced initially by the dance of the goddess with her brother sun, just like all other fruits, vegetables, and legumes are made in that same manner. And it's harvested by one of my brothers and sisters, farmers somewhere, maybe even railway workers, put it on a train and transported it and conducted it. Whereas to reach here, Hawk Island, Montreal, right? So more than 156 years across the collective North American civilization, so many tens of thousands, millions of workers built railroads, these dams for me to do this video, philosophic video, and honor dedicated to the railroad workers. Love you, kiss you, hug you. In a clean, renewable, zero emission, zero pollution energy that I'm using. It's all renewable, clean, Mother Nature friendly. God is blessed. Rivers, veins of the goddess, or sweat of the goddess. That I'm using this clean, renewable energy to do this video now. It's 11:12 a.m. Maybe somebody made $1 million profit today on the stock market. Please give 10% if you make $1 million profit on the stock market today too. Food security first and foremost is my call, because food security, everybody gotta eat, and food of course enables us to do, and for purpose and pleasure. The body is a temple for pleasure and purpose, and I'm calling of course to move us towards a post-COVID. Fundamentally my call, and by implementing my trinity of theories, is for us to move, break impasses, and move, make a jump towards a post-COVID economic, social, financial, philosophical, commercial, political, even spiritual, psychological system for pleasure and purpose. Fundamentally, my call, the dancing goddess and the dragon kingdom, is for us, first and foremost, from here is Hawk Island, Montreal, coast to coast Canada, and collective North American civilization, North America, Pan American, and beyond, right? NATO and New Alliance. So to move towards a post COVID economic, social, financial, philosophical, commercial, and political system of pleasure and purpose. Fundamentally, that's what my call is, and the implementation of my trinity of theories is for move towards a post-COVID economic, social, financial, philosophical, commercial, political, and even spiritual system for pleasure and purpose to attain harmony between civilization and nature, and purpose have some joy, to discover about civilization, how all these things operate, whether satellites, space exploration, whether farming, whether recycling, That's to be done with all citizens by implementing citizen integration theory to have with all organizations, the Dragon Army, to allow people to go visit and encourage them to go visit. Gives rewards by the corporations to see how farming is done. Reward curiosity, reward volunteeringship. Sometimes by XYZ reward, XYZ community, XYZ. And the Dragon Army to offer services, security and service to be integrated with all existing public and private security institutions. To offer services with consent and hygiene, mutual understanding and love. All services to be offered that harm none. The principle that harm none. With consent and hygiene, mutual understanding and love. All services to be offered by the Dragon Army. With consent and hygiene, mutual understanding and love, and harm none principle, all services to be offered by the Dragon Army. Whether it's cleaning, I can clean. Whether it's cooking, I can cook. Whether it's taking the children out to do push-ups, hawk squats. I love children, hearing them laughter, and loving, so I can say push-ups, and I do them with them, and squats, and run around, do football drills, whatever, to help with other facilities. Give a massage to the trucker, to the railroad workers. A massage to the railroad, maybe they need. I say, I need, sign me up, man. Now a volunteer somewhere to go to get a massage. I'll go there every week, twice a week, maybe 3 times a week, and I also volunteer to do it. Get there as a body's holy. Get out of. You don't want. That's okay. Fine. You don't. No. Okay. It's fine. Blah blah. Stay 2 meters away. 2 meters away. 2 meters away. And blah blah. Keep my name out of your mouth. If it's not for blessing, it's all good. For me, look how many are in would be in need. Things such as services, such as a spa service, such as a massage therapy service session, right? Doesn't do them for them. The medication doesn't do them for them. For some hyperactive children, it would probably maybe even harm their development. Need to run a bit. Parents got a 1-800 Dragon Army. 1-800 Dragon Army. The children are driving us crazy. You got some dragons close? Yeah, we got some dragon clothes. We got some dragons clothes. What do you need? What do you need? What do you need? We need to take the children out for half an hour, do them some run. Live stream, everything. Webcams. East, west, north, south. Webcams. Integrated with all social media. Instagram, 5G networks. Accounted for. There's no abuse. You don't ask for a massage 3 times a day. Got you. You already got your massage hour today, Mr. Trucker. You can get one maybe tomorrow, but got a few hours. Services. Blah, blah, blah. Healing requires action. Transformation requires action. Healing, for me, requires action. And get out of depression, worked out, train, exercise, a people's athlete. And sometimes, as much as philosophical, cosmopolitan, sophisticated on my theorizing on cultural, historical, civilizationalist, sometimes I'm straightforward and direct. I could use a good fucking massage therapy. It's 11:17 a.m. and I'm not perfect. Some things I'm mediocre, some things I'm average, other things I'm so-so. Tiny feet, tiny hands, but got some strength in them, got some brain and some muscle. And my trinity of theories, unapologetically, unashamedly, I do proclaim that they're best at this point in time. With all the flaws, the artistic, the rock and roll-ish, rock and roll rap that I got, I believe are to be our best at this point in time. Citizen integration theory, death refusion theory, democratic fusion theory, death refusion theory, citizen integration theory, death refusion theory, democratic fusion theory. Holy, Sacred, and Divine Trinity. Fourth dimension to that Trinity. Love is action, not just blah blah. It's love is action. Love is also action. Right? And action is required and has been required in my own healing. Admitting certain faults. Yes, I've been in the open for many years now, part of the LGBTQ community for many years, and many are still struggling with it. Millennials like myself. Don't think that Kal Nassib is the only one in the NFL. There's on each team, even 11 versus 11 when they're playing, there's one on each team who's LGBTQ. If not even statistics, according to statistics, there should be at least a few on each team, and they are. I understand money, but what is money? Means of exchange. That's why my theory, debt refusion theory, and digressed. I'm gonna go back right to it. Debt refusion theory I'm calling the implementation to be implemented in order to create the International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragan Army, to be integrated with all existing public and private institutions and organizations in order to secure food, housing, and transport. So, Holy Second and Divine Trinity, food, housing, and transport, secure that. Food, housing, and transport, public-private partnership. And after offer the fourth dimension, services, whatever services can be offered, XYZ, with consent and hygiene, mutual understanding and love, all the services that can be offered. With consent and hygiene, all the services that can be offered. With consent and hygiene, all the effort, all the services that can be offered. With consent and hygiene, all the services that can be offered. Cooking, cleaning, helping take the children out because they're too hyperactive, driving the parents crazy, or they need an hour, half an hour alone time. They know to do some exercise, do some soccer, some football, some basketball, whatever it is, some dance, whatever it is. Siblings or one kid or whatever. That's what my vision, my call for the Dragon Army is. To be of service and security, and integrated with all existing public and private institutions. And how? By implementation of my trinity of theories. Debt refusion theory. Debt refusion theory basically is taking all debt, my private debt, and if private debt is represented by an X, if I'm X1, I'm $10,000 in debt to the RBC. That's my private debt. So if I'm X1, you're X2, and there's hundreds of thousands, millions of X's across Canada, US, and Germany, Israel. But of course, we're going to have to do the conversion, right? So take all the number of the debt, private debt, and the public debt of cities, municipalities, countries, Canada, US, Germany, Israel, and NATO member countries and beyond. And then we have to do the conversion, right? Because there's Forex. So Forex is basically foreign exchange. So Canadian dollar, let's see how much is the Forex exchange today. Canadian dollar. Canadian dollar to US dollar. So the Canadian dollar to the US dollar. 1 Canadian dollar equals 76 US dollars. Cents, correction. Cents was 77. So it went down a bit. The Canadian dollar, so 1 US dollar is the equivalent of $1.32 Canadian, while 1 Canadian dollar is the equivalent of 76 cents US. So 1 Canadian dollar is the equivalent today of, as of 3:22 p.m. UTC, Universal Time. So not our time, but basically on our time, but it's calculated on things. That's what the time is in close to Britain, close to England. So 1 Canadian dollar is 76 cents US, while 1 US dollar is $1.32 Canadian. So it's more valuable, the US dollar, getting more Canadian dollars, right? So we have to do the conversion, and Germany doesn't use Deutsche Marks anymore, it uses euros, so we're gonna have to do that conversion. And Israeli new shekels, so we have to do Israeli new shekels, take the Israeli new shekels. Let's see how much is a Canadian dollar to euro, because my debt is in Canadian dollars. Euro is the same thing, at par with the US now. Yes, because euro went down a lot due to the different factors, geopolitical factors and crises, and oil and gas. It went down in the past weeks. It was higher, but now it's at par. The US and the euro is exactly 1-for-1 today. The US and the US dollar and the euro is exactly 1-for-1 today. The US dollar and the euro is exactly 1-for-1 today. The Canadian dollar is 76 euro cents, same as the US, because it's at par. So same thing. So 1 euro is $1.31 Canadian. 1 euro is $1.31 Canadian. So it's 1 cent less. So 1 euro is $1.31 Canadian, and 1 Canadian dollar is 76 euro cents. And let's see to Israeli new shekels now. Israeli shekel, the shekel. $1 Canadian equals 2.6 new Israeli shekel. $1 Canadian equals 2.6 new Israeli shekel. $1 Canadian is 2.60 new Israeli shekel. And shekels, and vice versa, where it is. So reverse. And one Israeli new shekel is 38 cents Canadian. One Israeli new shekel is 38 cents Canadian. One Israeli new shekel is 38 cents Canadian. So because conversion is going to have to be done, and we're not implementing my debt refusion theory. So implementing it would take all the private and the public debt together. If I'm X1 and there's hundreds of thousands, millions, tens of millions of X's, and it would be Canadian dollars, US dollars, Israeli new shekels, whatever it would be, euro, and take that number and peg it to US dollars, peg it to US dollar, peg it to US dollar, and create the new financial institutions, merge with existing ones, to issue a new currency, a new unit of exchange, which I call the Universal Exchange Unit, the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, the UE, the Universal Exchange Unit, because that's what fundamentally money is. A means to buy, sell, trades, do goods and services. Money, that's what fundamentally money is. Or it's called a unit of account. You have whole Wikipedia page long reading just on what money is. Currency, a unit of account, but it is a exchange unit, a unit of exchange, a trade unit, to buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell, fundamentally to buy or sell goods, buy services, a massage therapy session, a spa session, buy a coffee, buy whatever it is you spend money on. Get a dance at a strip club, whatever it is, get a gift, get a cheeseburger, now people are buying, selling, buying, selling, buying, selling. As I'm selling this online, right? This shirt I'm selling. So it's gonna be either Canadian dollars, US dollars, right? Because I'm doing North America only, so it's gonna be, I'm offering this to sell. Somebody might make an offer or not to buy. So buying and selling, fundamentally that's what money it is. Services or goods. Services or goods, services or goods or art, commission. Commission me, let's say $93 to do an hour video on XYZ topic of your choice. Just say nothing for an hour and give you $93. Or do this, whatever XYZ. To do XYZ, do XYZ, do XYZ. So it enables us to do or to buy and sell and get services. So fundamentally money is. So my debt refusion theory, taking all the private and the public debt, refusing it, whatever the number is, and the Israeli new shekels with the euros and the dollars, to peg it to the US dollar, and with that number create finance, that number whatever it is, initially to finance the new global financial institution. Have fun, man, you're young. Have fun, man, you're young. Have fun. You're young. I love hearing youth playing. Have fun, guys, you're young, man. Because the future is theirs, and the only orders I'm getting is from a child. It's a teenager now. The only orders I'm getting is from a child. It's a teen now. The only orders I'm getting is from a teen now. Same from a child. So of course, buying and selling and refusing that number, whatever that number is, refusing it in US dollars, and creating this new currency, this new unit of exchange, which I call Universal Exchange Unit, UEU. So colloquially, street name, it's known as the UE, the UE. That's what I'm calling and advocating for, by the implementation of my debt refusion theory, and whatever the number is of all the debt, taking all the public and the private debt and refusing it, whatever the number is, and with that number, and then setting all loans, bank, for business, for whatever loans on across all of the general central bank, the general central bank, the dancing goddess in the dragon kingdom, to be, of course, to offer the have fun, my children in the sun. Have fun, my children in the sun. Have fun, my children in the sun. You might hear teenagers singing from outside because I got my window open a little bit, so let them have fun. I love it. I know I'm more joyous when I hear teens, probably high school, having fun and exercise today. My educational program is, of course, to have an hour of every to have physical education regularly, perhaps even every day. Sometimes to have just can do dancing, TikTok videos. Do it for an hour, get it out of your system. Do an hour dancing or whatever XYZ. Just dance for an hour. It's one physical exercise. Free time at high school. Free time at high school to play, exercise. Exercise is super important. Exercise super important. I got dancing artists and dragon educational curriculums. So implementation of my Trinity of theories, one of them of course being debt refusion theory, is taking all debt, private and public debt, and doing the private and the public debt, the private and the public debt, taking it together, whatever the number is, and of course creating the UE to be that I call the universal exchange unit, and then plateau, put a principle that no higher than 10% interest rate, no higher than 10% interest rate on all loans, business loans, personal loans, pleasure loans, educational loans to be set. 10% maximum, that's my principle. And please, if you make a million on the stock market today, it's 11:31 a.m. in the morning, buy, sell, trade. Or you make a million later tomorrow, you make a million profit. Or you made a million already on the stock market yesterday, please give 10% also. Food security, women's sports league, LGBTQ youth sports, and a fourth dimension to that trinity, Mother Nature Environmental Services. 11:31 a.m. So that is debt refusion theory. The implementation of debt refusion theory is, of course, what yours truly is advocating, calling for, coupled with my citizen integration theory and democratic fusion theory, in order to create the two complementary covenant and cooperative institutions. The International Citizen Integrated Social Security and Service Force, aka the Dragon Army, with the International Integrated Dance League, aka the Dancing Goddess Army, in order to be complementary and cooperative and covenant to each other, just like the sun and the moon, two sides to a coin, and creating the new unit of exchange, Universal Exchange Unit, officially titled UE, preferred by biometrics. The hand, the voice, and the eye are unique biometric identifiers, and putting the 10% maximum interest rate on it, and that is what I'm advocating, and securing food, housing, and transport, and then offer the services, and reaching harmony between civilization and nature, reaching harmony between civilization and nature. Encourage people to work out, train, exercise regularly, which has been, is, and will continue to be my medicine of choice, and which have been, and will continue to advocate for the mass financing thereof, for people to work out, to train, and to exercise. You're probably going to see my live stream video after 3 p.m. EST today. And more, it's about more than pretty sure, all things considered. You're going to see a workout training, hardcore yours truly, with dragon drills, dragon football gridiron drills, and of course to offer services, and of course to see how things of civilization are made, being done, and recycling, farming, the dams, and railroads. And now that we are going to get a refill, and we're going to start reading on what is happening to the railroads, my brothers and sisters, I'm going to say thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you. Questions, feel free. Nothing personal. Constructive criticism, please offer, or show love or move along. It's my policy. Show love or move along is my social media policy. Show love or move along is my social media policy. I'm not perfect. At some things I am mediocre. At some things I am average. At some things I'm so-so. While I'm great, super excellent at independent athletics, at working out, training, exercising, dragon drills, some geopolitical analysis and theory, I'm excellent and super at that. I'm great at philosophizing, and great artist, great athlete, great philosopher. While I'll admit that at some things I'm so average, while in a parallel life I am a scientist where science, innovation, and technology is my parallel path, and everything about satellites, microchips, supercomputers, smartphones is all I know. And I've been connecting with my parallel self in during COVID. He sends me tens of thousands of pages about science, innovation, and technology, and satellites, microchips, supercomputers, ICBM rockets, and smartphones. And I send him my philosophies, poetry, and workout system to do. And he gets muscle sore. So I still cannot do it, but I'm getting better. I get sore. I'm more of a brainy reading and doing math and applied science, and he's getting better, but he's also struggling and getting sore, while I have headaches from all those tens of thousands of pages of scientific wisdom, understanding, and knowledge received during COVID. And of course, I'm getting better at it, and he's getting better at it. So we complement each other in different ways, philosophies, and sometimes taking action is required to break impasses, whether psychological, physical, and for my own healing. Working out, training, exercising has been required and is required as I drank my cup of coffee. I'm grateful, thankful that my rent is paid in full. Grateful, thankful that I got food. And thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers, truckers, butchers, grocery store clerks, nurses, doctors, daycare workers, warehouse workers, railroad workers. Thank you, love you, kiss you, railway workers, railroad workers, train conductors. Love you, kiss you, hug you. Butchers, bakers, thank you, love you, kiss you, hug you all. Bus drivers, pilots, and of course sanitation workers of the city. Plumbers, thank you, love you, kiss you. Electricians, thank you, love you, kiss you. Workers of Hydro-Quebec who maintain the 63 dams, and for which we also give to about 5 or maybe even 6 now, six maybe now states in the USA. We give to the Hydro-Quebec clean, renewable, zero pollution energy that through brains and muscle has been built across this great province of La Belle Province, Quebec. And as it is 11:36 a.m. in the morning, gonna get another cup of coffee refill, and we're gonna read about railroads, because it is in the news, and it is initially, of course, the reason for this video as all is dedicated to the railways. Gonna get a refill, be back in a second. Be back in a second. That was a little bit more than a second. Who made $1 million in those seconds that I was gone? If you made $1 million today on the stock market, please give 10% to food security, women's sports leagues, LGBTQ youth sports, and Mother Nature. Railroads. We're gonna check the internet for railroads, and we're gonna go in the news. We're gonna read the news first, see if the impasse is something has been resolved, XYZ, what has been done. And from this underground room of St. Temple, yours truly, independent athlete, independent artist, independent activist, AAA, philosopher, universal spiritual teaching student, geopolitical analyst, and theorist. Adrian H. Dragonborn, being reborn, Adrian Hunter Dragan. On the news. Yep, it's in the news. ABC reports pressure mounts on U.S. railroads and unions to reach a deal. And I'm also calling on of course, the multi-millionaires and multi-billionaires. Let's give them a check for some services, food, restaurants, some massage therapy sessions, some hotels, some spa, something, or just a check to pay their debt, because soon a lot of it proves that debt has increased right across collective North American civilization, Canada, US. We pay more interest now, myself included, the most interest due to the Bank of Canada having raised interest rates, and also the Federal Reserve for the biggest interest rates, raising 1 full percentage point a few weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, the biggest in 22 years, right? And just last week again. And it affects the debt servicing, right? The interest, basically interest that we pay. My principal is 10% maximum interest. The Globe and Mail 7H. U.S. hosting talks with union railroads in bid to avert shutdown. Pressure mounts on Biden to avert freight rail strike as union deadline looms. Freight rail strike. Freight is super important. Grain. Right? It's grain. Let's see what's in the news. CNBC reported 2 hours ago. Railroads say they won't lock out workers as negotiators meet with Labor Secretary Walsh. Railroads have already started diverting freight. A strike could cost the U.S. economy more than $2 billion, but even that cost, estimated cost of $2 billion for whom exactly? How much profit is being made on that? How much profit is being made on that? How much profit is being made on that? It's 2 billion. 1 billion is 1,000 million. 1 billion is 1,000 million. 1 billion is 1,000. 1 billion is 1,000 million. Localize it. Strike deadline nears for key freight railroads. The nation's largest freight railroads are negotiating contracts with their 12 unions. Ahead of Friday's looming strike. The nation's largest freight railroads are negotiating contracts with their 12 unions ahead of Friday's looming strike. Independent, this is. Threat of work stoppage by railroads looms large in analysis. Operations by railroads like UNP, NSC, and CSX will be disrupted if the strike materializes. Another union accepts tentative deal with railroads. Tentative agreement announced today includes a 24% wage increase during the 5-year period. 2020 to 2022. Biden administration presses unions, railroads to avoid shutdown. The Biden administration urged railroads and unions to reach a deal to avoid a railroad work stoppage, saying on Monday. Union blasts railroads. Move to delay shipments before strike deadline. This was 2 days ago. So, all the news. Looking for railroad news. I'm gonna say railways. Refiners. This is just 3 minutes ago. Refiners say fuel prices could increase and production plummet. P-L-U-M-M-A-T. Plummet. Go down, basically. Plummet. Not plum, but P-L-U-M-M-E-T. Go down. If rail strike proceeds. Upon sending the letter, Chet Thompson issued the following statement stressing the importance of rail transit to the refining processes. It's via logistics. Oh, this is not concerning North America. Thousands of rail workers could go on strike starting Friday. In 2 days, it's 14 today. Today's Wednesday. So on the 16th. I'm gonna say thank you, love you, kiss you for past and present and future rail workers. Got a good hug for all the freight that's being transported. We build this civilization on trains, right? This collective North American civilization for us to have, and even to allow CEOs to have make millions of dollars and artists to finance art to get their 30 million a year contract athletes, or 20 million or 10 million a year to play football, play hockey, stick multi-millionaire athletes, actors, right, to get 10, 15 million, whatever it is. It's all enabled by part of it and made good this prosperity for which has been since 1994 for fewer and fewer. And lesser and lesser, and enable it to railroads, to the rail workers, the rail workers who build those railroads, the trains, brains and muscle again, brains and muscle, brains and brains and muscle, brains and muscle, builds, maintains, and upgrades. Hopefully, will upgrade civilization with better services, and better security and life conditions for the workers, and even for artists who are not who are not multi-millionaires because they're artists who are super rich, super wealthy. They have 7 houses, 7 cars. Not those artists. Y'all good. Y'all good. Y'all good. Need to go give those rail workers, give them a hug, give them free shows, do some good art for them. Give them a come and check and get them good hamburgers. Pay them some credit cards debt. Pay them some credit cards debt. Blah blah blah. Concern grows about rail strikes' effects on agriculture. And I'm not perfect. Got issues, got vices, got lust, but if I'd be a multi-millionaire, no way that doing good, I would have been that fucking selfish to not finance food security, give to children's youth toys, and finance youth's services and LGBTQ in no way. Concern grows about rail strikes' effect on agriculture. Both farm groups and lawmakers warned Tuesday that a rail strike, which is possible beginning Friday, would have a. It's from the Fence Post. Concern about rail strikes' effect on agriculture. Markets Insider reports Patriot Rail completes acquisition of Pioneer Lines, increasing service capabilities for rail shippers across the country. Jacksonville, Florida. Interesting. National Post reported White House urges all parties to avoid a railway strike. The Biden administration pushed parties in the U.S. railways dispute on Wednesday to stay at the table to resolve their differences and avoid a labor strike, the White House said in the National Post reported. BNSF, over 80,000 BNSF rail workers. BNSF rail workers. Oh, we read about it yesterday, right? BNSF. I read about it again today. And of course, the numbers that are reported might vary, of course. The numbers, over 80,000 BNSF rail workers may strike for first time since 1991. So that is in 31 years, 31 years, 31 years. Here's what's at stake. BNSF rail workers are negotiating a new contract through their unions and are weighing the possibility of striking. So BNSF Railway. We read about it a little bit yesterday. We're going to read a little bit more today. So BNS Railway, reporting mark BNSF, is one of the largest freight railroads in North America. Rail freight transport is the use of railroads and trains to transport cargo as opposed to human passenger. One of 7 North American Class 1 railroads. And we're going to read about classes in a bit. BNSF has 35,000 employees. But it does have 35,000 employees, and here it says over 80,000. There's some discrepancies in the numbers. 80,000 BNSF rail workers may strike for first time since 1991. Maybe there's a zero there or something. This has to be. I have to check. Over 80,000 BNSF rail workers may strike for the first time. And BNSF has, says here, 35,000 employees. So 80,000 minus 35,000, that's do the math quickly. 80,000, 5,000 That is 45,000. It could be how it's counted, part-time employees, how it's structured with the part-time employees or full-time or considered full-time, considered part-time or XYZ factors. Nonetheless, BNSF Railway has 35,000 employees, 32,500 miles, 52,300 kilometers of track in 28 states and nearly 8,000 locomotives. It has three transcontinental routes that provide rail connections between the western and eastern United States. BNSF trains traveled over 169 million miles, 272 million kilometers in 2010, more than any other North American railroad. In 2010, BNSF has trains traveled over 169 million miles, 272 million kilometers in 2010, more than any other North American railroad. Wow. BNSF Railroad trains traveled over 169 million miles. That is 272 million kilometers in 2010, more than any other North American railroad. BNSF Railway Company is the principal operating subsidiary of parent company Burlington Northern Santa Fe. So it's a subsidiary. Headquartered in Fort Worth, Texas, the railroad's parent company is a wholly owned subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway. The railroad's parent company is a wholly owned subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway. So how is structured the financial, economic, commercial structure? The creation of BNSF started with the formation of a holding company. A holding company is a company whose primary business is holding a controlling interest in the securities of other companies. A holding company usually does not produce goods or services itself. Its purpose is to own shares of other companies to form a corporate group. We're learning. I knew a little bit about it. A holding company is a company whose primary business is holding a controlling interest in the securities of other companies. A holding company usually does not produce goods or services itself. Its purpose is to own shares of other companies to form a corporate group. A holding company is a company whose primary business is holding a controlling interest in the securities of other companies. A holding company usually does not produce goods or services itself. Its purpose is to own shares of other companies to form a corporate group. Top transporters of intermodal freight. So BNSF Railway Company is the principal operating subsidiary of parent company Burlington Northern Santa Fe. Burlington Northern Santa Fe is the parent company of BNSF Railway. The company is an indirect wholly owned subsidiary of Berkshire Hathaway, which we read yesterday. Controlled by investor Warren Buffett, Mr. Billionaire Warren Buffett. My brother. Finance some food security. Finance some women's sports. Cut the railway workers a good check. A billion is 1,000 million. A billion is 1,000 million. A billion is 1,000 million. Finance them, sponsor them to get, offer them to get either a massage service therapy because some working hard on those trains might need it. To get some spa, some restaurants, or to get a check to pay their credit card debt because they might need it. Rail freight transport is the use of railroads and trains to transport cargo as opposed to human passengers. A freight train, cargo train, or goods train is a group of freight cars or goods wagons. International Union of Railways. International Union of Railways is an international rail transport industry body hauled by one or more locomotives or on a railway, transporting cargo or all some of the way between the shipper and the intended destination as part of the logistics chain. Logistics is generally the detailed organization and implementation of a complex operation. In a general business sense, logistics is the management of the flow of things between the point of origin and the point of consumption to meet the requirements of customers and corporations. Trains may haul bulk material. Bulk material handling is an engineering field that is centered on the design of equipment used by the handling of dry materials. Bulk materials are those dry materials which are powdery, granular, or lumpy in nature and are stored in heaps. Intermodal containers. An intermodal container, often called a shipping container or a freight container, freight for the train, is a large standardized shipping container designed and built for intermodal freight transport, meaning these containers can be used across different modes of transport. General freight or specialized freight F-R-E-I-G-H-T, in purpose-designed cars. Rail freight practices and economics vary by country and region. While considered in terms of ton miles or ton kilometer hauled per unit of energy consumed, rail transport can be more efficient than other means of transportation. Rail transport can be more efficient than other means of transportation. Rail transport can be more efficient than any means of transportation. Maximum economies are typically realized with bulk commodities, example coal, especially when hauled over long distances. However, shipment by rail is not flexible as by the highway, which has resulted in a much freight haul being hauled by truck. Even over long distances, moving goods by rail often involves transshipment costs, particularly when the shipper or receiver lack direct rail access. These costs may exceed that of operating the train itself, a factor that practices such as containerization Containerization, Containerization. Hell of a word there. Containerization. How do we pronounce it exactly? Containerization. I haven't pronounced recently, in recent memory, this word. Containerization. Containerization. Containerization, one word. Containerization. So it's like a word verb, word verb, because it's in English language to denote something that requires an action of processes of change of doing something, right? Containerization is a system of intermodal freight transport using intermodal containers. Containerization is also referred to as container stuffing or container loading, which is the process of unitization, unitization, unitization of cargoes and exports. Containerization is the predominant form of unitization of export cargoes. So putting on the containers, basically, containerization. Trailer on flat car, also known as TDSF piggyback, is the practice of carrying semi-trailers or railroad flat cars. TOFC allows for shippers to move truckloads long distances more cheaply than can be done by having each trailer towed by a truck, since one train can carry more than 100 trailers. Or rolling highway. On the rolling highway, aim to minimize. And there we see a few pictures in the United Kingdom, in the Washington State, and in China. Freight rail transports commodities, grains, steel, can be different products. Grains, so it's for transporting goods, right, as opposed to passengers. So rail freight transport is the use of railroads and trains to transport cargo as opposed to human passenger. Cargo consists of bulk goods covered by water, air, or land, such as whatever, potatoes, bananas, coffee beans. Rail freight transport, use of railroads, trains to transport cargo. Imagine how many tons of cargo. We go back in the news a little bit. So we were at over 80,000 BNSF rail workers may strike for the first time since 1991 in more than 31 years. That's the first strike in 31 years. Well, 6 hours ago, Rail Union, that's for the UK, because they were also not now. NBC Chicago and MSM, looming rail worker strike could stop Metro Amtrak trains for Chicago area commuters, disrupt supply chains. Here's a breakdown of how freight rail workers strike would affect thousands of suburban Metro commuters. Rail Ministry shares breathtaking pictures. Oh, that's something else. Something in the news about North American Rail here. Canadian Pacific Railway Limited New York Stock Exchange. Please, if you make a million buy sale trade on the New York Stock Exchange, a million profit today, or made a million profit yesterday, or will make a million profit tomorrow. Please give 10% for food security, women's sports leagues, LGBTQ youth sports, and of course for environmental issues and protections. Canadian Pacific Railway Limited shares acquired by Strategic Wealth Partners. Strategic Wealth Partners Ltd increased its holdings in Canadian Pacific Railway Limited. And Machinists Union votes to reject U.S. rail deal. A union representing machinists, love you kiss your machinists, love you kiss your machinists, love you kiss your machinists, with the truckers, butchers, bakers, grocery store clerks, nurses, doctors, farmers, and construction workers, warehouse workers, dock workers. A union representing machinists, mechanics, and maintenance personnel said on Wednesday its members voted to reject. Today, the vote was today. 12 p.m. exactly. Who's going out for lunch? What you spending money on the lunch? Multi-millionaire athlete, multi-millionaire artist, billionaire CEO. What's your lunch? What's your lunch? What's your lunch? Y'all gotta eat. Y'all gotta eat. Gotta eat. CEOs, buy trade, still stock. Financiers. Mr. Fink. Interesting. 31 minutes ago, NASDAQ. So a union representing machinists, mechanics, and maintenance personnel. Guys, railroads, those machinists. Take some brain and some muscle. Finance them some good massage therapy sessions, some good spa. Pay their credit cards. Cut them a check. They can go XYZ, go recreation spa, some for their bodies. Working machinists, mechanics, and maintenance personnel. All those intricacies in the trains, man. Gotta be mindful. That's what enables us. Hey, multi-millionaire rappers. Rap. You gotta say money. You also gotta eat. Freight rail. It's the workers, man. Gonna rap for the machinists. Gonna rap for the mechanics. Gonna rap for the maintenance. Hell yeah. Rap for the machinists. Rap for the mechanics. Rap for the maintenance. Hell yeah. Rap for the machinists. Maintenance. Mechanics. Hell yeah. And I ain't perfect. I got a shot of whiskey. Go with the machinists, mechanics, maintenance. Do some. I do something for them, man. Do some rap for the machinists, mechanics, and maintenance personnel. Love you, kiss you, hug you. Do some dance for them. Some dance for them. Wash them their hands, kiss their bodies, wash their feet. Machinists, mechanics, and maintenance personnel, man. A union representing machinists, mechanics, and maintenance personnel said on Wednesday its members voted to reject. Now imagine these machinists, mechanics, and maintenance personnel, how they labor there and where those wheels, those railroads, steel, there's some muscles, brains to work on our freight rails. So that we watch the football Sundays, right? Multi-millionaire athletes can run past jog play and get those millions since the 80s. Their wages have stagnated, have stayed stagnant. I've had years of stagnation. I'm broke, I admit it, but my workouts are gold. Work on with millionaire athletes, man. Try to do my workouts. People's athlete. I've worked in warehouses. I've worked in XYZ warehouses, XYZ. I want to work for the people now, for the people. Calling on all willingly living, east, west, north, south. The people's athlete, independent fitness captain, who's not perfect, who's got some issues. I got my. But I am for the greater good. I am for the greater good. For the machinists, mechanics, and maintenance, if they voted to reject a deal. That aside, I haven't read it. I don't know. So many things I don't know. I don't know, machinists, mechanics, maintenance. Y'all rock mechanics, machinists, mechanics. Y'all fucking rock. Get that steel. Yep. Get that. Good with your hands. You're good with your hands. Yep. And you're good with the screws. And with that oil. Yep. You gotta turn and twist. I know you gotta turn and twist. The machinists, mechanics, maintenance. I know you gotta clean, you gotta maintain. Knock, knock, knock to see if the wheels so that we avoid emergencies, so that we avoid security hazards, spills, strain, freight strain. Yeah, machinists. Yeah, rock, rock, rock. You gotta clean, you gotta strong, you gotta arm, you gotta good with your hands, you're good with your hands. You're good. Kiss your machinists, mechanics, and maintenance personal hands, man. Woman involved in an incident. Metro cancels Thursday evening train routes on four Chicago area lines ahead of potential rail worker strike, man. Metro canceled Thursday evening train routes on four Chicago area lines ahead of potential worker strike. In preparation for a potential freight rail worker strike Friday, Metro on Wednesday said it will to curtail service. Metro, never heard of Metro. Metro cancels Thursday evening train routes, so for tomorrow evening, on four Chicago area lines ahead of potential rail worker strike. Metro lines. Not sure where it is. I like the name Metro. METRA cancels Thursday evening train routes on four Chicago area lines ahead of potential rail worker strike. In preparation for a potential freight rail worker strike Friday, Metro on Wednesday said it will curtail service. BC investing another 300,000 into study of high-speed rail to link Pacific Northwest. For a third time, the government of BC, so this is North America, Canadian Pacific Railway events, financial events, is doling, DOLING, out 300,000 to help fund the next phase of studies into a high-speed rail. So that's a considerable amount for a study, high-speed rail, because 300,000. Manufacturing groups use Congress to stop pending rail strike. This is reported 37 minutes ago from the Centrist. Manufacturing and business groups from 8 Midwestern states sent a letter to Capitol Hill on Tuesday urging congressional. Manufacturing groups urge Congress to stop pending rail strike. Manufacturing groups urge Congress to stop pending rail strike. Congress, if you're gonna, speaking as American twice badly, you're gonna try to stop the strike, offer them to go, give them offer to come to Congress. Those workers, pay them their stays in Washington and offer to give them some massages, some hugs. Some might say no, but you can offer. Give them some cook, give them some hugs, give them some to come to Washington at least for a weekend for recreation and spa. And all expenses paid, at least give them something, offer them something, it's a thank you. Because sometimes action is required, it's just lip service and slogans and mottos. New legislation. Samson, SAMPSON, Samson Independent. New legislation would undermine rail network. Port of Wilmington received good news last month with the announcement that it will receive over $18 million from a federal grant. Bader Bank Inc. grows position in Canadian Pacific Railway Limited, CP, on the New York Stock Exchange. Bader Bank Inc. BAADER, Bader Bank. Never heard of Bader Bank before. Grew its holdings in shares of Canadian Pacific Railway, CP, get rating, by 22%. That's a considerable. This is from the Defense Word 6 hours ago. Biden, Jojo, faces mounting pressure to avert freight rail shutdown as union strike deadline looms. The White House is working on contingency plans in case of a freight railroad shutdown, politically and economically stressful. Nomura Holdings Inc. purchases 3,840,728 shares of Canadian Pacific Railway Limited, CP, on the New York Stock Exchange is CP, Canadian Pacific. Nomura Holdings, which I've heard of, Nomura Holdings Inc. increased its position in shares of Canadian Pacific Railway Limited, CP on the stock market. If you buy, sell, trade stocks now, make a million profit today, give 10% charity. Again, from the defense world. Indian, this is something else. Let's see. Looming rail strike. Then we have passenger bucks. We have U.S. government plan. Okay, this is from proactive investors. U.S. government plans contingencies as rail strike planned. Business groups and the White House are increasing pressure on freight railroads and their unions to resolve their contract. Rail and postal strikes called off after Queen's death. And that was from British news here. Because it's, of course, I've checked it online on the internet and it's given me this. Sydney commuters will be able to travel free as rail, tram, bus unions threaten to turn off Opal car machines indefinitely. That's from Australia. 4 Chicago area metro lines may be closed if freight rail workers strike Friday. 4 Chicago area metro lines may be closed if freight rail workers strike Friday. 4 Chicago area metro lines may be closed if freight rail workers strike Friday. Metro, one of Chicago's largest movers of commuters from the suburbs to the city, said Tuesday that we need to suspend if the strike is voted. It's 2 hours ago. Energy News Network. Looming rail strike would squeeze Western coal shipments. Coal, a nationwide rail workers' strike, could begin this week, virtually halting coal shipments from Powder River Basin and Western Colorado mines to power plants across the country. Rail union leader AgriPulse. 4 hours ago. Railroads make progress on rail service delays, but challenges remain. The nation's largest railroads, aided by low summer demand and intense recruiting initiatives, have made progress. Wednesday morning news roundup. The rail corridor that Caltrain uses for this service is owned by Union Pacific, according to a news release from Caltrain. The Gilroy segment is served by 3 trains each morning and evening. The railway network. Yesterday, we reported this, read yesterday, coal, lumber, and food under threat by potential rail strike. So that was yesterday. Access VDUN says authorities say a rail strike would be an economic disaster. Freight railroads and their unions are facing increasing pressure from business groups and the White House to settle their dispute. Okay, well, that is to settle their dispute. And now we're going to read about the first transcontinental railroad. The first transcontinental railroad, North America's first transcontinental railroad. We're going to read about after we read about classes, railroad classes. In the United States and Canada, railroad carriers are designated. There are 7 Class 1 freight railroad companies in the United States, including 2 Canadian classes. And we have the classes of railroads across North America. So these classes are designated according to annual revenue criteria, originally set by Surface Transportation Board in 1992. So this is 30 years ago. This standard criteria was set for North America, and there's a map in 2006 of the classes. So there's class 1, 2, or 3 according to annual revenue criteria. With annual adjustments for inflation, the 2019 thresholds were between US 504,803,294 for class 1 carriers and 40,384,263 for class 2 carriers. So you are learning something today. I'm learning something today. I knew there was classification, but about this one specifically due to the revenue criteria, basically how many dollars of revenue annually are being generated by their different railroads. I did not know that it was classified according to this economic, financial, commercial standard, monetary classification. Interesting. So there are 7 class 1 freight railroad companies in the United States, including 2 Canadian carriers, with subsidiary trackage in the United States. BNSF Railway, Canadian National Railway via its subsidiary Grand Trunk Corporation. Canadian Pacific Railway, which I know about, Canadian Pacific Railway, via its subsidiary Sioux Line Corporation. CSX Transportation, Kansas City Southern Railway, Norfolk Southern Railway, and Union Pacific Railroad. Mexico also has Ferromex. Mexico has Ferromex because it's North America, so it's Canada, US, and Mexico. And because the railroads are connected. In addition, the National Passenger Railroad in the United States, Amtrak, would qualify as Class 1 if it were a freight carrier, as would Canada's Via Rail passenger service if it operated within the United States. So that's interesting. So these are the thresholds set in 1992. Class 1, a carrier earning revenue greater than 250 million. Class 2, a carrier earning revenue between 20 million and 250 million. Class 3, a carrier earning revenue less than 20 million. So again, the three classes are Class 1, a carrier earning revenue greater than 250 million. Class 2, a carrier earning revenue between 20 million and 250 million. Class 3, a carrier earning revenue less than 20 million. Again, the classes are thresholds set in 1992, 30 years ago. Class 1, a carrier earning revenue greater than 250 million. Class 2, a carrier earning revenue between 20 million and 250 million. And Class 3, a carrier earning revenue less than 20 million. So those are the classifications. And there's a trackage, yes, no, yes, no. You have Canadian National Railway, Canadian Pacific, CSX Transportation, Ferromex, Mexico, Kansas City, Norfolk Southern Railway, Union Pacific, Via Rail, Amtrak. So that is interesting. So I learned today. See, learning. Every day learning a little bit, every day learning a little bit, every day learning a little bit. And now we're going to read about the first transcontinental railroad by reading. But first, I'm going to say, love you, kiss you all, railway workers, railroad workers of the collective North American civilization. North America's first transcontinental railroad, now known originally as the Pacific Railroad, and later as Overland Route, was a 1,911 mile, 3,075 kilometer long continuous railroad line constructed between 1863 and 1869 that connected the existing eastern U.S. rail network at Council Bluffs, Iowa, with the Pacific Coast at the Oakland Long Wharf on San Francisco Bay. The rail line was built by three private companies over public lands provided by extensive U.S. land grants between 1863 and 1869. When I was born, before that time, but back then, between those times, I was roaming around about the good USA between that period and until the 70s about. Extensive U.S. land grants. Building was financed by both state and U.S. government subsidy bonds as well as by company-issued mortgage bonds. Building was financed by both state and U.S. government subsidy bonds as well as by company-issued mortgage bonds. Building was financed by both state and U.S. government subsidy bonds as well as by companies issued mortgage bonds. Building was financed by both state and U.S. government subsidy bonds as well as by company issued mortgage bonds. Interesting. The Western Pacific Railroad Company built 132 miles, 212 kilometers of track from the road's western terminus at Alameda, Oakland, to Sacramento, California. The Central Pacific Railroad Company of California, CPRR, constructed 690 miles, 1,110 kilometers east from Sacramento to Promontory Summit. Promontory Summit. Maybe in a past life. Sounds familiar. Promontory area of Utah. The Union Pacific Railroad. UPRR built 1,085 miles, 1,746 kilometers from the road's eastern terminus at the Missouri River settlements at Council Bluffs and Omaha, Nebraska, westward to Promontory Summit. The railroad opened for through traffic between Sacramento and Omaha on May 10th, 1869. Wow. With CPRR, that is, CPR of course stands for Central Pacific Railroad Company, President Leland Stanford ceremoniously tapped the gold last spike, later often referred to as the Golden Spike, with a silver hammer at Promontory Summit. Interesting. In the following 6 months, the last leg from Sacramento to San Francisco Bay was completed. The resulting coast-to-coast railroad connection revolutionized the settlement and economy of the American West. The resulting coast-to-coast railroad connection unit revolutionized the settlement and economy of the American West. The resulting coast-to-coast railroad connection revolutionized the settlement and economy of the American West, indeed, and the collective North American civilization, as my theory goes, of course, I believe it's true that we North Americans constitute a collective North American civilization, which its emergence was allowed due to the railroads. The railroads that we have, the railroads, part of the pillar of the infrastructure for passenger and freight and transport, cargo, played a major role in the development of the economy, society, culture, civilization, and mega cities, metropolises across the collective North American civilization. Consider it quicker. Union American West, or economy of the American West. It brought the western states and territories into alignment with the northern Union states and made transporting passengers and goods coast to coast considerably quicker, safer, and less expensive. The first transcontinental rare passengers arrived at the Pacific Railroad's original western terminus at the Alameda Terminal on September 6, 1869, where they transferred to the steamer Alameda for transport across the bay to San Francisco. The road's rail terminus was moved 2 months later. To Oakland Long Wharf, about a mile to the north. When its expansion was completed and open for passengers on November 8, 1869. Service between San Francisco and Oakland Pier continued to be provided by ferry. The CPRR eventually purchased 53 miles, 85 kilometers of UPR built grade from Promontory Summit, MP 828, to Ogden, Utah Territory, MP 881, which became the interchange point between trains of the two roads. The transcontinental line became popularly known as the Overland Route, after the name of the principal passenger rail service to Chicago that operated over the length of the line until 1962. Wow, what a beauty. And there's an official poster announcing the Pacific Railroad's grand opening. May 10th, great event. Union Pacific, Omaha, Platte Valley Route. Wow. Preliminary exploration. Northern Route, Central Route. The U.S. Congress was strongly divided on whether the eastern terminus of the railroad should be in a southern or northern city. The three routes were considered: a northern route, a central route, and a southern route. Once the central route was chosen, it was immediately obvious that the western terminus should be Sacramento, but there was considerable difference of opinion about the eastern terminus. And three locations along 250 miles, 400 kilometers of Missouri River were considered. St. Joseph, Missouri; Kansas City, Missouri; Council Bluffs, Iowa; Omaha, Nebraska was considered. There were some key individuals here. Asa Whitney, first name ASA, 3 letters, or first name rare, but it's kind of cool. Asa Whitney. ASA is Asa, ASA is the first name, and surname Whitney, Whitney. One of the most prominent champions of the Central Route Railroad was Asa Whitney. He invented a route from Chicago and the Great Lakes to Northern California. Theodore Judah Was a fervent supporter of the Central Route. The Big Four. Four Northern California businessmen formed the Central Pacific Railroad. Leland Stanford, Clord Potter Huntington, Mark Hopkins, Charles Crocker, Thomas Durant, Doc Durant, authorizing and funding. In February 1860, Iowa Representative Samuel Curtis introduced a bill to fund the railroad. It passed the House but died when it could not be reconciled with the Senate version because of opposition from southern states who wanted a southern route near the 42nd parallel. Interesting. 1860. Southern states who wanted a southern route across the 42nd parallel. Curtis tried and failed again in 1861. That's how you try, you fail again. I failed so many times. Try. Lost 77 pounds. Gonna keep on working, training, exercising today because it's my medicine and therapy. And exercise, working out, training, exercising, working out, training, exercising is my medicine and therapy. 1861, Curtis tried and failed again. After the southern states seceded from the Union, the House of Representatives approved the bill on May 6, 1862, and the Senate on June 20th. Lincoln signed the Pacific Railroad Act of 1862 into law on July 1st. It authorized creation of two companies, the Central Pacific in the West and the Union Pacific in the Midwest, to build a railroad. The legislation called for building and operating a new railroad from the Missouri River at Council Bluffs, Iowa, west to Sacramento, California, and the San Francisco Bay. Another act to supplement the first was passed in 1864. The Pacific Railroad Act of 1863 established the standard gauge to be used in these federally financed railroads. A standard gauge, GAUG railway, is a railway with a track gauge of A1,435 millimeters. The standard gauge is also called the Stevenson gauge, international gauge, and gauge, uniform gauge, normal gauge. To be used in these federally financed railways, so the railway gauge. Wow. Standard gauge is a standard gauge. Yeah, standard. Wow, we're learning more. This we're going to read tomorrow, the standard gauge. As part of our ongoing learning about and appreciating railroads and rail workers, and appreciating their work and loving them every day on the daily sun, the morning suns and 9:30 clock strikes on that Wall Street. Buy, sell, trade stocks, man. Yeah. Give 10% if you're making me in profit. Wow, we're gonna read about this tomorrow, more in depth. In rail transport, we're gonna learn about track gauge. And the loading gauge. Tomorrow, go to rail transport, generally, because this is what it's all about. Rail transport and the workers enabling, making sure we have rail transport, freight, passenger trains, love you, across the collective North American civilization. Offer you some good kisses, some good hugs, some good tickles, man. Good washing of the feet. Washing your feet. Wash your feet, your hands. Thank you for the past, present, and future work in the future. Give the workers of the collective North American civilization kisses for the future, man. credit for the future. The workers, the farmers, the truckers, the railway workers, the construction workers, infrastructure workers, daycare workers, nurses, the butchers, the bakers, the cooks, electricians, plumbers, IT workers also. Y'all need some kisses too, because I'm a half a nerd as well at heart. In a parallel life, I know computer science, satellites and microchips, ICBM rockets, and smartphones. 3G, 4G, and 6G networks in a parallel life. So tomorrow we're gonna read about this general rail transport, and it's a big article here which we're gonna tackle tomorrow. Rail transport, and we're gonna go to the portal because there's a portal, part of the series on rail transport portal. Loading gauge. So there's a standard gauge railways, a track gauge of 1,435 millimeters or 4 feet and 8.5 inches. So it's for football players, multi-millionaires. You learn standard gauge railway. It's 4 feet, 8.5 inches. 3 of those get you first down. Gonna get some more coffee. Offer to give the railway workers a good massage or something. That's it, last coffee for the day. Triple. Drink a little bit too much coffee. Who's out for lunch? Oh, there's the standards. Wow, so many standards. You have narrow, minimum, 3 foot. Super cool. This is technical. Railroads, but this is what it is. It is the most widely used railway track gauge around the world. This one. In rail transport, track gauge is the distance between two rails of a railway track. All vehicles on a rail network must have wheel sets that are compatible with a track gauge. Since many different track gauges exist worldwide, gauges differences between them present a barrier to wider operation. Track gauge exists around the world. Approximately 55% of the lines in the world are using this. So it's a more than half. 55% is more than half. 55% is more than half. And get a vote. The people's vote. People's Dragan. Independent fitness captain. People's athlete. You gotta win. Win. It's not always about winning. So a standard gauge railway is a railway with a track gauge of 1,435 millimeters or 4 feet. That's about what? That's what distance is, right? Fingers to finger, no, maybe more. 4 feet. I'm getting closer to 6. 4 feet and 8.5 inches. That is the standard railway gauge. The gauge, of course, track gauge, is the distance between the two rails of a railway track, right? All vehicles on a rail network must have wheel sets that are compatible with a track gauge. Since many different track gauges exist worldwide, gauge differences often present a barrier to wider operation. Whereas you'd have some universal standards, international standards, global standards. It's like I'm calling for the UE, and my philosophies for the 21st century in the Global Dragon Union. Is most widely used railway track gauge around the world, with approximately 55 of the lines in the world using it. All high-speed rail lines are use standard gauges, except all high-speed rail lines use standard gauge except those in Russia, Finland, and Uzbekistan. All high-speed rail lines use standard gauge except those in Russia, Finland, and Uzbekistan. The distance between the inside edges of the rails is defined to be 1,435 millimeters, except in the United States and some heritage British lines, where it is defined in U.S. customary imperial units as exactly 4 feet 8 and 1/2 inches. So 4 feet 8.5 inches, 4 feet 8.5 inches, 4 feet 8 and 1/2 inches, 4 feet 8 and 1/2 inches, which is equivalent to 1,435 millimeters. Wow, that is cool. Learn some numbers, learn some more today, learn some more today, learn some more today. I knew that there was a standard or the distances, and from prior knowledge, probably I knew this once upon a time, or I'm just refreshing memory, but it's really cool, man. Origins. A popular legend has been around since at least 1937, traces the origins of the 1,435 millimeters, which is 4 feet and 8.5 inches, gauge even further back than the coal fields of northern England, pointing to the evidence of rutted roads marked by chariot wheels dating from the Roman Empire. So we don't know for sure the origins of this standard division, right? And this standard distance, and length. Variable gauge, dual gauge, so you have break of gauge adoption. It was adopted in 1845. In the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, the Royal Commission on Railway Gauges reported in favor of a standard gauge. The subsequent Gauge Act ruled that new passengers carrying railways in Great Britain should be built with standard gauge of 4 feet 8.5 inches, that is 1,435 millimeters, and those in Ireland to a new standard gauge of 5 feet 3 inches, that is 1,600 millimeters. Wow, wow. Parts of the United States, maybe in the Northeast, adopted the same gauge, because some early trains were purchased from Britain. Interesting. See, we're learning more. Because some early trains were purchased from Britain. Parts of the United States, mainly in Northeast, adopted the same gauge because some early trains were purchased from Britain. Parts of the United States, mainly in the Northeast, adopted the same gauge because some early trains were purchased from Britain. Wow. The American gauges converged as the advantages of equipment interchange became increasingly apparent. Notably, all the 5 feet 1,525 millimeters broad gauge track in the South was converted to almost standard gauge 4 feet 9 inches 1,448 millimeters over the course of 2 days beginning on May 31st, 1886. Wow. Gauge in the United States. In continental Europe, France and Belgium adopted a 1,500 millimeters, that is 4 feet 11 inches and 1/16 of an inch gauge. Wow. The evolution, the transformation, the adoption of standards. Wow. Almost standard gauge. So they are 4 feet 8 inches gauge railways. So some are 4 feet 7 and 3/4, 4 feet 7 and 3/4, 4 feet 8 inches exactly, that is 1,400, 1,422 meters, different railways, so the gauges. Standard gauge. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad, we're learning something again. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad was the first common carrier railroad and the oldest railroad in the United States, with its first section opening in 1830. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad was the first common carrier railroad and the oldest railroad in the United States, with its first section opening in 1830. The Baltimore and Ohio Railroad was the first common carrier railroad and the oldest railroad in the United States, with its first section opening in 1830. Wow. The Liverpool and Manchester Railway. The Liverpool and Manchester Railway was the first inner city railway in the world. It opened September 15th, tomorrow. Tomorrow. First in the world, today's 14th of September, will be the anniversary tomorrow. It opened on 15th of September 1830 between the Lancaster towns of Liverpool and Manchester in England. It was also the first railway to rely exclusively on locomotives driven by steam. Locomotives to rely, to be that is exclusively on locomotives driven by steam. Wow. The Saint-Étienne-Lyon Railway, authorized 1826, opened in 1833, so 7 years later, it's got construction. All the early French railways, including Saint-Étienne-Lyon, authorized, opened 1827, opened earlier, so if the first one was in 1830, when was the first one? Let's see, first railway. The first public railway in the world was the Lake Loch Railroad, a narrow gauge railway built near Wakefield, West Yorkshire, England. Although the idea of wooden rail wagonways originated in Germany in the 16th century, the first use of steam locomotives was in Britain. The first use of steam locomotives was in Britain. And there we have it in the history. First one, when it opened. Lake Loch Railroad was an early, approximately 3 miles, 4.8 kilometers long, horse-drawn, narrow gauge railway built near Wakefield, Yorkshire, England. The railway is recognized as the world's first public railway. The railway of Lake Loch Railroad is recognized as the world's first railway. Wow. The Lake Loch Railroad Company was formed in 1796, with the capital being raised from 128 shares. The initial route opened to traffic in 1798. Wow. We're learning. Honoring the railway workers of the collective North American civilization, and of course our brothers and sisters in the US with the strike of the railways. The railways. Railway news, and we went from the standard gauge to the first transcontinental railroad, or the Railroad Act. Federal financing. This was for the first transcontinental railroad that was built between 1863 and 1869 in the USA. When back in during that period when the railroad was being built, 1863 and 1869, I was in the USA in a past life. How many songs during those 6 years did I sing? Maybe a few. I don't remember. Many. Maybe a few. Singing, going, roamed about. I went east, west, south, deep south, Midwest, the Pacific. Federal financing. To finance the project, the act authorized the federal government to issue 30-year U.S. government bonds at 6% interest. The railroad companies were paid $16,000 per mile, approximately $480 $483,000 per mile today. The railroad companies were paid $16,000 per mile. So that money, the US dollars, because after the inflation, asset values, the 16,000 per mile in the 1860s is the equivalent of about 483,000 per mile today. So imagine how many times. So the value of the dollar was different back then, right? So $16,000 in the 1860s, it's the equivalent of about 483,000 per mile today. For track laid on a level grade, $32,000 per mile, about 965,000 per mile today. For track laid in foothills, and 48,000 per mile, or about 1,448,000 per mile today. For track laid in mountains, the two railroad companies sold similar amounts of company-backed bonds and stock. Union Pacific financing. While the federal legislation for the Union Pacific required that no partner was to own more than 10% of the stock. Interesting, that was a clause. The partner owned more than 10% of the stock. The Union Pacific had problems selling its stock. One of the few subscribers was the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints leader Brigham Young, who also supplied crews for building much of the railroad through Utah. Interesting. Durant, surname Durant. Durant enticed other investors by offering to front money for the stock they purchased in their names. This scheme enabled Durant to control about half of the railroad stock. The initial construction of Union Pacific grade traversed land owned by Durant. Durant's railroad was paid by the mile, and to further inflate its profits, the Union Pacific built oxbows of unneeded track. And by July 4th, Independence Day, 1865, it had only reached 40 miles, 64 kilometers from Omaha after 2.5 years of construction. Durant manipulated market prices on his stocks by spreading rumors about which railroads he had an interest in were being considered for connection with the Union Pacific. Durant manipulated market prices on his stocks by spreading rumors about which railroads he had an interest in or being considered for connection with the Union Pacific. Durant manipulated market prices on his stocks by spreading rumors about which railroads he had an interest in were being considered for connection with the Union Pacific. First, he touted rumors that his fledgling M&M Railroad had a deal in the works, while secretly buying stock in the depressed Cedar Rapids and Missouri railroads. Then he circulated rumors that the CR&M had plans to connect to the Union Pacific, at which point he began buying back the M&M stock at depressed prices. It's estimated his scams produced over $5 million in profits for him and his cohorts. Pack. Well, I got kisses by the trillions, my willing living allies and armies, some brain and some muscle. I put videos by the hundreds of workout training program videos, and I'm in debt. My call to implement my trinity of theories is, although philosophical, intellectual, cosmopolitan, sometimes it's straightforward and direct, and to utilize all we have for breaking the impasse and making a jump. And don't play it self-righteous, got some issues, got some vices. And I'm not totally selfless, but I am for the greater good. I'm not totally selfless. I am for the greater good. I'm not totally selfless, but I am for the greater good. And I find my own battles and learning every day, and encourage all to work out, train, exercise, work out, train, exercise, work out, train, exercise. Central Pacific financing. Coles Huntington, a Sacramento hardware merchant, heard Judah's presentation about the railroad at the St. Charles Hospital in November 1860. He invited Judah to his office to hear his proposal in detail. Huntington persuaded Judah to accept financing from himself and 4 others: Mark Hopkins, his business partner, James Bailey, a jeweler, Leland Stanford, a grocer, and Charles Crocker, a dry goods merchant. They initially invested $1,500 each and formed a board of directors. These investors became known as the Big Four, and their railroad was called the Central Pacific Railroad. Each eventually made millions of dollars from their investments and control of the Central Pacific Railroad. Wow, see, they made profit, and after their other owners, stock owners made up profit, profit, profit. They give to charity, finance, food security, women's sports leagues, and LGBTQ services, youth services specifically, and Mother Nature projects. Before major construction could begin, Judah traveled back to New York City to raise funds to buy out the Big Four. However, shortly after arriving in New York, Judah died on November 2nd, 1863, of yellow fever. That he had contracted while traveling over the Panama Railroad. Panama Railroad's transit of the Isthmus of Panama. The Panama Canal Railway is a railway line linking the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean in Central America. Wow. The route stretches 47.6 miles, 76.6 kilometers, across the Isthmus of Panama from Colon Atlantic to Balboa. Interesting. Panama Canal Railway. When was this built? Let's see quickly. So many bananas. Many bananas might come from there. Panama Canal Railway route stretches opened in 1855. Wow. It opened in 1855. Wow. Interesting. It opened in 1855. Interesting here. This is important to note. But the line was built by the United States, and the principal incentive was the vast increase in passenger ratio from eastern USA to California following the 1849 gold rush. So this, in the country of Panama in Central America, was built by the United States. Funds for construction on railroads. Construction began 1850, and in 1855 January it was open. It started working. Wow. Is still a railway line. It still is after 156 years. After 156 years. 156 years. Of course, changes of the gauges and the changes of the railways, and improvement and maintenance. But fascinating. And the track gauge is the standard, 4 feet 8.5 inches. Previous gauge was 5 feet though. Wow. Construction, yeah, 1850s it was built by the USA. In January 1849, Aspro hired Colonel George W. Hughes to lead a survey party and pick a proposed Panama Railroad roadbed to Panama City. Wow. Interesting. Land grants. To allow the companies to raise additional capital, Congress granted the railway the 200-foot, 61-meter right-of-way corridor. Labor and wages. Many of the civil engineers and surveyors who were hired by the Union Pacific had been employed during the American Civil War to repair and operate the over 2,000 miles, 3,200 kilometers of railway line the U.S. military railroad controlled by the end of the war. The Union Pacific also utilized their experience repairing and building truss bridges during the war. Truss bridges during the war. A truss, TRUSS bridge, is a bridge whose load-bearing superstructure is composed of a truss, a structure of connected elements usually forming triangular units. The connected elements may be stressed from tension, compression, or sometimes both in response to dynamic loads. That's a truss bridge. Truss bridge, layers. A truss bridge is a bridge. Load-bearing superstructure is composed of a truss, a structure of connected elements usually forming triangular units. The connected elements may be stressed from tension, compression, or sometimes both in response to dynamic loads. A truss bridge is a bridge whose load-bearing superstructure is composed of a truss, a structure of connected elements usually forming triangular units. The connected elements may be stressed from tension. Most of the black and white workers were paid $30 per month and given food and lodging. And of course, we have to consider that $30 per month might be the equivalent of a few hundred today, right? A few hundred or thousand. Just as like we've seen that 16,000 was the equivalent of almost half a million in today's money for the building of a mile of railway. Before 16,000, right? When we read before, so the equivalent of almost a half a million. So $30 is not $30 what it would of today's money. It bought more, right? Like in terms of bread and cheese and milk. Most of the black and white. This is the first transcontinental railroad. First transcontinental railroad. First transcontinental railroad. Most of the black and white workers were paid $30 per month and given food and lodging. So they were given food and lodging and the $30 per month. Most Chinese were initially paid $31 per month and provided lodging, but they preferred to cook their own meals. Most Chinese were initially paid $31 per month and provided lodging, but they preferred to cook their own meals. Most Chinese were initially paid $31 per month and provided lodging, but they preferred to cook their own meals. In 1867, the CPRR raised their wage to $35. Equivalent, now it says, equivalent to $680 in 2021. $35 then, equivalent to $680 in 2020. Low for today. Low. Wow, low wages. Raised their wage to 35, equivalent to $680 per month after a strike, which is where we are now. CPRI came to see the advantage of good workers employed at low wages. Chinese labor proved to be Central Pacific salvation. Chinese labor proved to be Central Pacific salvation. Chinese labor proved to be Central Pacific salvation. Wow. And we're going to end it on that for today. We're going to continue with part 3 tomorrow, where we're going to read about more of just in details about the general systems, the locomotives, the trains, and everything that is comprising of railways. Rail transport, because this is what we're about. Rail transport and all workers, machinists, and mechanics, and maintenance workers, and conductors, and all who work in it, because it includes rail transport, of course. There's a strike looming. It includes operations, rail yard, railway tracks, maintenance, track gauges, which we read, gauge conversion, rolling stock, locomotives, choo-choo-choo, trains, choo-choo-choo, railroad cars, railway couplings, coupling conversion, dual coupling, wheel set, boogie, truck, passenger train. Then we have tram, light rail, rapid transit, commuter rail, regional rail, intercity rail, high-speed rail, maglev, other miscellaneous, and much more about rail transport, as I'm calling, of course, for the Dragan army and the dancing goddess army to be for security, prosperity, and the maintenance in the 21st century. Global Dragan Union, implementation of my trinity of theories, to create this new institution to be integrated with all existing public and private institutions, for some joy, for some purpose and pleasure, and better lives for the workers, better health, better joy, better services, and see you later in a few hours. Gonna work out, train, exercise, invest in the body. This has been a special mind, training the mind by reading, It is 12:57 p.m. Please, if you still got 3 hours to buy, trade, sell stocks at the 4:30 clock in Wall Street. If you buy, sell, trade stocks, it's 2.5 hours, and you make today $1 million in profit. Please give 10% for food security, women's sports leagues, LGBTQ youth sports, and for Mother Nature. Or if you made $1 million yesterday, give today. And if you make $1 million tomorrow on a stock market trade, buy, sell, profit, or other profit, you make $1 million contract. Please give 10% of that $1 million, which is 100,000. 10% of $1 million is 100,000. 10% of $1 million is 100,000. Please give tomorrow. If you made today, or if you make tomorrow, give Friday. Yours truly, Coffee with Dragan. Thank you, love you, kiss you, farmers, truckers, railroad workers, from the machinists to the maintenance, to all working in rail transport across the collective North American civilization, all working in rail transport across the collective North American civilization. Thank you, love you, and kiss you. We were live on Facebook. We're gonna live and we gonna get some other work because it's got work. Clean my room, office, and temple, and get some sun. Get some sun. Get some sun.